Welcome to the Coders with Class podcast. This is our first take at it, and we're just kind of winging with it. What the purpose of this podcast is to bring you as much information we can about Coders with Class as a whole and the computer science and gaming communities as a whole. So today we've taken and gotten a few topics together that we're going to speak on. Thomas?
No, well, first I think we should probably introduce ourselves. My name is Thomas Benkert.
And my name is Jiawei Chen. I'm the founder of Coders with Class.
And I myself am Nathan Duke.
So I guess what we should start to kick it off, conventions, maybe. I mean, summer's a great time for conventions.
Yep.
You got your WWDC, you got your Google I/O.
We've got our very own RapCon just last month.
RapCon.
Yep.
That was a success.
Oh yeah.
Not very computer related, but I did get to swing by Gen Con. That was a fun time.
Oh yeah.
They did have one booth set up that was kind of gaming related. eBash, place that does tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I heard about eBash.
Mm-hmm. I competed in 3 other tournaments.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
All right. So Thomas, you said something about the conventions, like the WWDC.
Yeah. So WWDC was held on June 8th, I believe. That was the date. I heard they had a big attendance. They revealed not only their basics, the new OS and iOS 9, but then they had something that they revealed, Apple Music. They did that, and I don't know if they're trying to integrate Beats into it since they bought it ages ago, but or if they're trying to basically scratch iTunes Radio, say, hey, the iTunes Radio wasn't really,
Yeah, it wasn't as popular as I think they really intended it to be off the bat. I think they expected it to truly rival Pandora.
Yeah.
But the problem is their broadband usage. Like they used way much more data than Pandora.
And I mean, it was basically just a copy of Pandora with the fact that you only had 6 skips per hour.
Mm-hmm.
So then you had to wait an hour. And we all know how much we hate waiting times.
Yeah, no one likes waiting. I remember, I'm trying to remember the name of the software, but I would put it on airplane mode, and it would preload the first few songs, but it wouldn't preload any ads.
Yeah.
And then I'd go on airplane mode and it just wouldn't do the ads.
Yeah.
But it would
Sneaky.
register there was a spot for an ad. So kind of a way around it. Speaking of ways around it, have you guys heard about the thing Windows 10 just added about how it can detect and disable pirated video games?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a new software they just announced. It seems pretty interesting to me. But I mean, this isn't like a new idea or concept that game developers or computer scientists have come across before. We've all heard of some of the great ones, like in Crysis, Warhead, the chicken gun.
Yep. The chicken gun. Yeah.
How do you win a war shooting
Plenty
chickens?
of YouTube videos out there of people shooting chickens at each other.
Oh yeah. Or in GTA 4, if you had a cracked version of the game, you were permanently in drunk mode.
Ooh.
And if you were to get in a car, it would accelerate in one direction only. As soon as it hit something, explode.
Nice. Well, I guess we're not really nice for software pirates out there. Remember, kids, buy all your games legitimately, support the developers.
Yes.
And don't drink and drive.
No, definitely not.
Yes.
These are big no-nos.
One thing that I heard that I thought was kind of interesting was that ESL is actually requiring their players to do an RDT before their matches. But the rules around this are kind of weird because they can't do it. They can't have drugs in their system during the matches only. So anytime before or after, it's okay according to these rules. Now, one of the players, this came up because one of the players was using Adderall during a tournament.
I could see how that can be considered performance enhancing.
Yeah, and so they were like, all right, well, we can't have this. So they basically mandated a drug test. So what happened was they had them do a drug test, and if they had it in their system, they would basically be taking their prize money out. So, if you were caught, you may have gotten, I don't know, $150 off your prize money that you were, of course, because they're split between the teams.
Yes.
Yep.
And of course, with drug tests, it's very difficult to get an instant response.
Yeah.
It's something that it's okay, well, if you won, we'll fine you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once again, some of these tournaments, you see guys playing for thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, like that World Tournament just happened.
Here's 150.
Yeah.
Kind of like the whole Tom Brady incident.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm a multi-millionaire because I play football. Oh, no, I deflated balls. $50,000 fine, or it was something stupid like that to any other average human, but he's just like pocket change, and it's nothing to him.
Yeah.
Well, I think like the whole reason why this all came up, wasn't there like this really big like World Tournament that just happened, and that's like how this whole thing started.
Dota, wasn't the Dota Internationals?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Dota's been taking prize money. Like, I feel like all the other esports teams or esports organizations have been trying to raise their money in terms of like prize money so that they can top Dota.
Yeah. Okay,
Dota's
Nate,
just
by the way.
a little large. It's
Yeah.
going to be a hard one to top
Yeah.
out. Let it.
All right, we'll just keep going.
14.
All right, 14 minutes. Okay, so, well, did you guys hear about, like, you guys know, like, the old Sega Genesis games and, like, Sonic 1, 2, 3 and all that?
Oh, yeah, I love
like,
those games.
Yeah, those are, like, some of the best Sonic games out there, dare I say. But, yeah, anyways.
To date.
Yep.
Mario and
Well,
Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Yes.
2.
Yeah, Rio's coming out.
Oh, goodness.
But,
Yay.
yeah, anyways, the developers, like, there are these two game developers out there who have actually been the authors of, like, Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 for iOS and Android. And they want to rewrite Sonic 3 and Knuckles for iOS and Android. So what they do, just like the previous games they've actually released, they are going to be just basically completely rewriting the games and just completely remastering them for mobile devices. I actually bought Sonic 2 and it was great. Like, it runs at 60 frames a second, completely widescreen. And they've got all these new features. They even have like a global leaderboard for like basically high scores and stuff. But yeah, so problem with this is, well, Sega really hasn't said anything about them, so they really don't have like the okay to actually publish it right now. But,
Piracy. Back to piracy.
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, last time I checked, there was actually they have a petition set up on change.org, and I just checked last week, and I think they're like under 100. Like they only need like 100 or so signers to get up to 10,000 signatures. So yeah, maybe we might be able to get this out there. Cause,
There you go.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, go check that out. Get the votes up and make that happen.
Yeah, it's just-
Dreams come true.
Ooh, nice.
Because that's what we
Speaking
stand for.
of
at
which,
CodersWithClass.
we
Dreams.
will have a link dump of all the sources that we talk about somewhere.
Yep, you just find that down in the description, and I'm just like pointing invisibly. You can't see me on the screen right now, but just
He's pointing,
imagine.
I
Yeah,
promise.
I'm pointing.
We will soon be visible. We are currently in the process of getting equipment, but we will have a video podcast in the near future.
Very near future.
Yes.
Yep.
Probably within a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing, iOS 9 now, or the iPads now support multitasking, which is something that I've been wanting for a long time.
I think it's something that should have been there off the bat.
Yeah.
Well, Android fanboy chiming in, but Samsung had this about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, they should have had it off the back, especially
Yeah.
when they're competitors.
And if you kind of think about it, well, come on, they've had this on like the Galaxy Tab 3, and that is by no means an iPad, so like there's definitely no question about performance here. Because I mean, this thing like can barely run a 2D game like the aforementioned Sonic 2 without like just completely crashing and burning.
Yeah, well, it also comes back to optimization.
Yeah.
They might have ran into a wall or two there, but still, that is no excuse from a AAA company such as Apple.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what I've noticed so far with, like, especially with Apple versus Android is that no matter, like, how shiny, like, the new Android phones come out, iOS just, for me, just feels so much smoother. Like, it's just that tiny bit. Like, even, like, right now, I'm actually recording this on, like, a Galaxy S6, Android, Lollipop, I mean, octa-core processor, but still, it kind of has those little tiny stutters in it. Like, it's just not quite there. And
Yes, and I think that kind of reflects on the operating system. I mean,
Yeah.
I know my family is divided right down the middle. 2 of us are Android, 2 of us are Apple, and we have wars about it over dinner.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it comes down to one of those things. It's all personal preference. That's why I don't really get the whole wars on it. Like, but don't get me started on PC versus Mac.
oh, geez.
I'll draw blood.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you guys have to remember that the Apple, all of the Apple insights are made custom by Apple.
Yeah.
Android borrows manufacturers, parts, stuff like that. So theirs are going to run a lot smoother. However, so that's why Apple has to make up for it. Now they could make up for it by making, on par, processors and equipment.
Yep.
Or continue just to sell a logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I've noticed that Android, like almost all the Android apps out there are written in our good old friend Java. And that's kind of also the reason why the apps tend to run a bit slower on Android devices no matter how new they are, is just because all these Android devices, they have to just basically fall back to like a Java runtime. So they're basically running the app on top of a program, on top of like this operating system. So it's juggling all these things at once, which is why. That's why you can have this like epic new Android device and it's got like all these stutters, like it stutters more than like an iPhone 5 running like iOS 8.
Yeah.
Which I can say from like personal observation that has happened. I actually do have like in a really old iPhone 5 and it is still like running silk smooth on iOS 8. Well, except for like a few crashes.
Weird to say, an old iPhone 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I feel like that's not
like technologically speaking. I mean, this thing's about like 4 versions behind by now. So
experts are saying that I think it's every 7 years we're doubling our technological footprint and what we can do, and every 7 years that 7 years will shrink even more.
Yeah, it's actually Moore's law. It's like every 18 months, I believe. He said that the number of transistors you can fit onto a processor will double. Now, the problem with that is right now we're actually starting to hit a plateau because, well,
what's physically possible?
That darn physics gets in the way. And right now we're starting to get to the point where we're stuffing so many transistors into such a tiny space that, well, quantum physics is starting to say no to that. And we're getting things like electron tunneling and all these kind of weird things that start happening because you're basically talking about these little tiny parts being etched into silicon that are about the size of atoms right now.
Yeah, and that's just mind-boggling still, even to think about. It doesn't feel like something that's that important. It's something we all definitely take for granted day to day. But when you sit down and think about it, it's truly incredible, like what we're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like just the original Half-Life, just like the graphics compared to these days, compared to the upcoming Half-Life 3, hopefully.
Yay.
Half-Life 3 confirmed? Question mark?
Nah.
Leaked information? CodersWithClass. We were paid to say this. Just kidding. No lawsuits, please.
Yes. I'm really waiting.
I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like I kind of think that we're probably going to end up with a Steam 2 before we end up with like Half-Life 3.
Steam machines.
Yes, Steam machines. Oh yeah, just one more thing though. So if we want to just kind of plug Coders with Class into here, we're actually having a call-out meeting in Mrs. Erzman's room for all you Center Grove students that might be listening out there. And we will be holding this during STAR on this Thursday. So if you're going to the Center Grove High School,
This Thursday, the week of the 17th.
Yes, you should totally check us out. It'll be awesome.
And I guess we'll catch you then. This has been Nathan, Jiawei, and Thomas signing out with Coders with Class.
Oh, one more thing, actually. Oh, hold up. So yeah, we'd just like to say thanks to our sponsors out there, Geek and Pink. You can check them out on their website. They're a computer repair business, and they're actually owned locally right here in Greenwood, Indiana. And they basically fix computers, cell phones, pretty much any sort of techno gadgets you have. Like if you have a virus or like a cracked screen or something, totally go check them out, geekandpink.com.